Well, this is the big land. It's 2 miles that way. This is the property line. From the property line, that spinney is the closest obstacle. It's 4 miles that way and 10 miles that way. The nearest telephone pole, power pole, is 3 miles back in the fog. Well, we're now at the corner of a couple of bare ground sections in my what I call my big land. This is nothing. So back behind the truck, I've come a mile in. That little bridge across the canal is where I cross to get far enough away from the birds to slip them on the balloon. That off in the distance is the dike for the big irrigation canal. But each one of these sections is bare ground, at least a mile in every direction. There are no power poles whatsoever. So about a third of a mile in from the crossroads there. That way I can get to any side of the canal. Mick's out there running around somewhere. And put the birds out to weather for a little while I get rigged. There's my helium tank set up. The balloon partially deflated to fit in the truck. Got to clean out the cads and then put the balloon up. Let the birds weather while I clean. Well, while I cleaned up the truck from 4 bigger birds, I made the decision it's a balloon day. The wind isn't stable enough for a kite. It keeps dying. I may get a little bit of blowover from the balloon, but not too much. So I'll put my balloon filler attachment on my tank. So we'll fill this balloon up to 3.5, 4 feet, plenty enough to lift a small quail, mostly a pigeon wing, up to 2,000 feet. Birds are off having a good little warm up at Smokey over there. Veronica I just got, she's actually not in the balloon program, she's just being reclaimed, no emotional problem, she's just on the cads right now. BG, that's the one I think might be a star, 1,500 feet last time out. Gonna repeat the height today, even with a little blowover. The wind compensates for the blowover. And my beloved and psychopathic Marilyn, don't know what I want to do with this what I'm doing with this big bird, but I know I want her to go back to falconry where she belongs. She shouldn't be an abatement bird. That's how she came to us. God bless the guy she came to us. She came to us from. He put a lot of work into her, but he just wanted to go hawking. Well, I popped my first balloon. I let it get really big, and it was getting a little bit old. So as I reached over to shut it off, I bounced it against the truck, and it popped. I get another one going. Balloon's cheap, about 75 cents per use. That's about $4 or $5 worth of helium. Oh well, that's life. Right, balloon's up. Now we'll put it up so I can put the release mechanisms on. There's the swivels that I used to attach the release mechanism. There it is. I can't put it on and hold the camera at the same time. We might redo this with my apprentice, but I'll put it on and then show it again. So there's a release mechanism on the line. The swivels have been separated, and the release mechanism, the tension on the line uses a spreader for these 2 light tubes. They're radio control airplane antenna tubes. Just a clothespin. Don't have to get fancy. I have fancy ones. You know what's wrong with the fancy ones? Marilyn hits them and breaks them, and then it's another $30 to Bass Pro or Cabela's to get a new one. So that's the completed setup. The downriggers, the carabiners on, downrigger line, just 2 nooses on a swivel. I can put any size bait on there. It's the same kind of knot I use for trapping, you know, double loop. Now right now the balloon's at 100 feet, and you'll never see it once it goes up, and I gotta put the birds away because I'm gonna put the bait on and put Smokey up. Start with Smokey at about 600 feet. There's my tag marker for height. I lost it last time when I reeled it in. Got to start over again, but the line's marked every 100 feet. Good old Smokey. Smokey's been flying over to the car to land on it before deciding to take off. So we're gonna walk away from the car rather than drive away from the balloon. We're gonna go way over there and be about 45 degrees to the wind. Well, we're about not quite a half mile away from the car. The balloon's pushover angle is about 45 degrees. Not my favorite. Actually, it's climbing now because the wind quit where the balloon is. It's up there somewhere. I doubt that it'll come out in the picture. And good old Smokey's all ready to go. Yeah, we'll strike the braces and launch him. There he is. I'm talking funny because I got the hood in my teeth. It may look like I was carrying him without equipment. His leash is looped through his leg. And now he can take off and it'll slide out. A little shake. He looked up at the balloon. He's looked over at the truck. Don't go over the truck. So, I love how Smokey's in a hurry. I know he's hungry. He's not that hungry. We are actually more like 90 degrees to the balloon, because I'd have to walk downwind about a mile. Smokey, take off. There it goes. Well, Smokey flew back to the car. Anyway, he's over there, sitting on the roof, having a shake in the sun, even though he was out weathering. This is his normal behavior from the first time I flew him. Doesn't really do much good to make sure that the balloon's upwind and all that, unless you're willing to drive a couple of miles. And then that doesn't work, because then he just sits on the truck anyway. And if you walk a couple of miles, you get into position where I am right now. It doesn't do any good. He just flies to the truck. Hence, Smokey's a project bird because of this. Multiple years probably to get it straightened out. I have no comment on anybody that's worked on him before. You know, he's generally got a good disposition. I'd bet that he was taking out the chamber a little later. It's a bit hyper for an early bird. I like him a lot. The whole point is to get him going and reliable so that his next owner can just go hawking and not pass him on to somebody else, and then to somebody else, and then to somebody else. Okay, took off. Nice climbing into the wind now. I don't know if I can't see him in the viewfinder. Hopefully you can. He's coming over his normal thing. You know, it wouldn't be bad from a falconry standpoint. So, you know, I don't like it, but maybe he'll grow out of it as we get higher and higher. I doubt you can see him, but he's up there somewhere, about 2/3 of the way up, circling. You know, he's a powerful bird when he wants to be. Well, Smokey's now closed the distance and is coming down with the balloon. There is a release mechanism. I don't know if he even popped it off. He hits light, opposite of Big Girl. Well, there's Smokey on his pigeon wing. It did release, but he actually flew a little downwind. So the balloon release is only about 50 feet up. I don't like parachutes because I get out of breath enough as it is. Truck's way over there. I'm on zoom, so you know it's more maybe 600-700 feet this time. Next time we're going way up, because at a third of the way he just said, okay, I'm going up. So he's got the power now. He can get 1,000 feet next time, and we'll get his big reward. Take the tension off of the line for him, and he can eat. Well, Marilyn's out there. She's only about 200 feet up. She's followed the truck over from a mile away. With the laydown, the bait itself is at about 1,100 feet, which is her height. Sometimes she decides to fly around for a little while and then go up, usually when she's high in weight, and she's high in weight today because we're on a build cycle. But if she makes it, she'll get a reward. If she doesn't make it, she won't get a reward. Well, she's there, if you can see her. She's put her motor on, so she's going on up. Looks like she'll make the height and she'll get her reward. Sometimes she does that, like I said, when she's more like 1240 to 1260 instead of 1210 to 1230, or you know, whatever. I'm missing a gap. Well, it's been about a half an hour and she stood on her tail and she's almost to the bait. She just decided at one point to start wing beating, and she hasn't stopped since. She's probably going to get it on the next pass or so, and then I'll have to run down the line. Bye. Well, she made height. She pulled so hard on the release mechanism, she pulled it up and it got stuck again. So if all the tugging is the balloon trying to pull up, when I got within about 50 feet of her, she let it go. She grabbed it once and then got grumpy. But she came and landed on the glove for her pigeon, and she made height, and she's been out there for 40 minutes. So she's going to get basically as much as she can eat without me worrying about sauerkraut, because that's the lesson. Get up and get fed. This one's BG. We're a little bit closer to the balloon, but the wind's died down and it's not laid down. It's pretty much straight up at 1,600 feet, which means the bait's at 1,500 feet. She's definitely ready to go. She's been at this all day. Put the hood in my teeth. Have her look around. In general, BG's all business. She's over there a little past the tumbleweed. I drove the 3/4 of a mile up the road and a 1/4 of the mile, 1/3 of the mile, whatever, to where my chair and the drill are. Got out the telemetry to find this big thing in the sky. It was kind of coming from all directions, and about the time I realized that she was at altitude on the balloon, she snagged it and I had to start running. So she's safe here because the dog's already been all over this part of the field specifically. So there's no coyotes, there's no raptors, and I think she's chewed through my release line because the balloon just popped up. Oh, here comes the release mechanism. So she's got the pigeon wing, which she will, unlike Marilyn, quite happily pluck to nub. There goes the release mechanism. I can let go of the balloon now. A girl over on the bank. Looks like she might have even finished her pigeon. She's looking up at the balloon. Come here, babe. Come on, babe. Come on, babe. Hey! Hey! Oh, that's a bummer, because I don't have a lure in my pocket, but I got a pigeon wing. Well, after eating that pigeon wing, she took off again, but she was going to go up to the balloon, but she landed on the glove instead. So she gets basically about as much as she can eat for that performance. Too powerful. I drove, looked around for her, got the telemetry out, got the direction. She was, she's a pig. She was upwind at altitude. I found her just as she set her wings, snagged the lure, or the bait, came down, and ran, and there she is.